The Patrick Star Nendoroid is finally here. Let's open it up, check it out, see if it's any better or any worse than the Super7 one, and also just see if this is worth the price, the $60 price range. And of course, some toy photography. So the Patrick Star Nendoroid is finally here. What a great day to be alive in a world where we're getting this many quality articulated action figures from SpongeBob. What a great time to be alive. And if you've been following my channel at all, I've been doing just about videos on every single one of them, from the Super7 to the Nendoroid, comparisons, seeing which is better, all that stuff. And we've reached the next milestone here with Patrick the Nendoroid. And so in this one, we're gonna be checking out this figure right here and seeing if it's any better or any worse than the Super7 one, because I think they're both pretty good. A lot of the consensuses with the Super7 versions have been a little negative. I like them, but I do think the Nendoroids so far have been a little bit better. So let's see if Patrick is the same. And I kind of have a feeling this is gonna be like a glorified statue. This doesn't really look like there's gonna be a whole lot of articulation on here, but I guess we will see. And if you're into this kind of stuff, especially with SpongeBob, and you're not subscribed yet, I would definitely recommend it, especially because I've got another really fun video coming up soon where I actually bought this Nendoroid bootleg, which looks amazing, and I really want to compare it to the actual Nendoroid to see if it's any better. This thing was $9. New video coming up later on, so if you're not subscribed, definitely do that. So I ended up pre-ordering this guy from AmiAmi.com, but I'm pretty sure he's still available, probably in stock in a lot of places too, like Big Bad Toy Store. But I'll have a few different links on where to get this guy in the description of the video, as I always do, for your convenience. Of course, you're welcome. Of course. So, Good Smile and Super7 seem to be the only two companies putting out actual SpongeBob figures. I mean, there's plenty of SpongeBob merchandise all over the place, but as far as actual figures, these are the only two brands doing it. Are there any other ones you think would do well with this? Like, what do you think? I feel like these are honestly the best two companies to do it, in my opinion, but I'm sure other ones would do great. What do you think? I would love to know. Okay, here is Mr. Star himself. He's very light, and he looks great, but he has a thing about him that makes him a lot more similar to typical Nendoroids. He totally cannot stand without his stand. He's not gonna be able to stand without it, unless I can magically get him to balance without it. No, it's not gonna happen. Stands in here along with some other crossed arms as well. Let's get the stand ready so we can actually do this video, unless we have Patrick lying down like that the whole time. Oh. Sorry, Patrick, to do this for you, pal, but gotta stick it up in there, man.
What kind of place is this?
Hey, right now you can't even really see it, but there it is, and it works the way it's designed. And sometimes these stands, I think, are kind of annoying, but it actually works quite well. And it's on the lower part. I had to stick it right up Patrick's beehole, but it worked quite nicely. So the Super7 one over here, instead of having more accurate looking feet, he's got more flat nubs down there, so he can actually stand. Good Smile was like, nah, let's go for accuracy over functionality, which is fine. That's a choice for sure. I like the fact that he can stand on his own, I think, a little better. I guess it's a choice, you know? It's a choice. Besides the stand, whatever. I think this figure looks great. I think it looks better than the Super7 in general. I just like and enjoy this size a little bit more. Some of the things with the Super7 were a little weird, like the joints on the arms. Everything just looked a little weird. Not that I hated it, but I do like the way this looks more. He has, you know, just joints on the shoulders, I guess, basically. He does actually have joints on the legs. We can move that around a little bit. Not that that's gonna have a whole lot of purpose. I mean, I guess that is more of a walking pose than this. Either way, he looks good. He looks good. The color palette is a little bit different too between the two figures, which was the same with SpongeBob as well. And I like both. I don't think one's better than the other. I think they both kind of look pretty good. There's one comment that I saw on the last video I did with the SpongeBob Nendoroid, and man, it's just so true, is that the Super7 look like season 1 SpongeBob, and the Nendoroids look like the newer seasons of SpongeBob, and it's the same with Patrick, and it's such a great point to make, and it's definitely true here. And I don't have a problem with that. Only other articulation that Patrick has is his belly. He's got an articulated belly. This actually pops right off quite nicely, like that. And so you can make it much easier to switch out different heads and faces. And man, I never noticed how much Patrick kind of looks like Grimace. Man, Patrick comes with a few things. First of all, a different face with more of a smiley mouth face, which teeth showing, and I like that. Definitely more than the face options that were on the Super 7. I mean, they were definitely meme-worthy, but not necessarily something I would actually want. So what I love too is the eyes can actually pop out of this. So you can switch out, whoa, Patrick Cyclops. That's pretty epic right there. But anyway, you can swap out the eyes. So there we go. We can have all 3 different eyes on either of the faces, which is cool, which adds for quite a few different combinations you can do with any of these guys. I think this one might be my favorite of the faces. That looks great. A couple of bent arms, so you can probably put them hands on the waist like that. So there's that. And then a couple of different Krabby Patty holding hands. Awesome. That's pretty cool. And then a couple of hands that have, you know, indentations on the inner parts of them, so this can go like fold his arms or whatever. Not a whole lot of articulation, but there's a bunch of different combinations of things to really make different poses that way as opposed to articulation, which makes sense, especially when you've got kind of a weird shaped character like Patrick, you know? So one of the big differences between the Nendoroid and the Super 7 as far as accessories go is the choice in the accessories. The Nendoroid stuff seems to be more functional stuff like hands and faces and arms and stuff like that, which I prefer. Super 7, however, does have some of that stuff, but it's more like novelty props and just like random stuff from specific episodes, which is pretty cool. I mean, if you're a huge fan of the show, obviously you're buying these figures and then you see these very specific references from the Super 7, and that's kind of cool. And you're like, oh, cool, they have this from that episode. Like, that's cool. Nendoroid isn't so much worried about that. I think they're more just like worried about creating figures that are cool and that you can do a bunch of stuff with them and have lots of options and stuff like that. And that's always gonna be my particular preference. I like that. A lot of times when I get stuff with a bunch of accessories like these, I don't really end up touching the accessories ever. But these I will use because I like to switch their poses and stuff like that. I'm sure that there's probably plenty of people who have the exact opposite feeling as I do, and that's great. I'm actually quite curious. Let me know. I'm actually quite curious about that. And of course, when he is paired next to the Nendoroid SpongeBob, it's just perfect. I mean, just look at these two guys. Come on. I definitely think Nendoroid nails the look a little bit more than Super 7. I don't mind the Super 7 ones, but man, Nendoroid nails them. Jeez, except for this stinking stand, man. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it is kind of a big deal. Okay, well, the Patrick Nendoroid, what are we giving it? Are we giving it an L or a W? It's still a pretty easy W, but I feel like the whole stand itself, that is an L. But as a whole, W, L, W, L, W, L. Let me know in the comments. But what's our decision here over these two? Which one's the better one to go with? They're both around the same price, but which is better? I mean, the Nendoroid, for me, for sure. It's the Nendoroid. Even with the stand, it's still the Nendoroid. Hang on. Well, hey, maybe he needs a stand too. I do appreciate a lot with the Super 7. I mean, the whole figure. I like the figure a lot. What do you choose? Which one? I would love to know. Okay, well, we have quite the heat wave going on right now, and I've got a very specific idea of what to do with them with that heat wave and just needing a little bit of water. Let's go outside and take this shot. Okay, here we are out in my backyard right now, and it is incredibly hot. It's probably like 95 degrees outside, and I've got SpongeBob and Patrick, and they're admiring this nice cold bottle of water. Look how cold it is. That is all 100% real condensation. And so they're both looking straight at it using the eyes looking that way. I might adjust that in Photoshop to make it look like they're looking more at it. I'm also gonna put my hand in the photo because I think that might add a little fun to it. Also, I'm probably gonna use my spray bottle here and spray them a little bit, just so it looks like they're sweating slightly, you know what I mean? I don't know if that'll make a huge difference, but I think that might be kind of cool. So right now, the sun is right in the center of the sky. So it doesn't really cause for very interesting lighting. So if I use my light reflector and kind of, instead of holding it this way like I normally do, hold it facing upwards a little bit, I can get a little bit more control over the light on them that way. So I'll probably do a little bit of that too, just to get some type of lighting that I enjoy. I'm not sure if I'll get much at all with that, but I'll try it. My settings aren't crazy, but this is what I've got going on. I've got shutter speed of 1/2500, which is fast because it's bright as heck out here, so I'm really just making it darker by doing that. My f-stop is at 3.2. I like having a blurry background, but I opened it up a little bit to 3.2 just to get a little more focus, plus it's really bright. And my ISO is at 400, as always. So I'm gonna use my remote so I can put my hand in the photo, and that will be pretty much it. Let's go take the shot. Okay, so what's the consensus here? Is the Nendoroid better or is the Super 7 better? Well, I think it's up to you to decide, but in my opinion, I'm definitely feeling the Nendoroid. But either way, I'm just happy that we have all these SpongeBob figures. I really am. This photo, along with everything else, will be posted on Instagram at Sirdork and on TikTok and Twitter, Sirdork730. If you did enjoy the video, of course, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I've got so much more coming after this. And again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.